Hey everyone, welcome. It's Carrie from Carrie's Wreath Creations. Hope you are all doing well on this Tuesday evening. I'm going to get my video pulled up here on my page so that I can see the comments. Give people a second to join us. Thank you for joining me today. Today we are going to be working on a flower that is going to be inspired by the colors of Juneteenth. I already have a frowny face. I'm not sure what that's all about, but okay. Thanks for joining me. So we're going to be working on a small Unique in the Creek board. We're going to be working with poly burlap. I have some petals already done. And we're going to be using this center, which I made with a black corded rope on a styrofoam ball. If you saw the picture I posted earlier in the day, I did post a tutorial link to YouTube that shows how I made this. It did take me about 20 minutes, so we're going to cut that 20 minutes out of today's live, and you can go check that tutorial out if you want to see how this is made. So I did a little bit of research on Juneteenth because I'm going to be totally honest that I didn't quite know a whole lot about it. I know that last year it became a federal holiday. And, you know, with that we see kind of a good and bad thing. We see obviously a lot more awareness, and then we also see more, I guess, what you would call like commercialization. So I've been seeing a lot of wreaths and signs for wreaths pop up with Juneteenth. And so I guess, oh, and then my dog just walked by, and hopefully there's not going to be too much chaos. It's still pretty bright outside and there's a lot of people walking around, and I have the blinds open. But anyways, so I did a little bit of research. And so Juneteenth colors are, there's kind of two ways of sort of looking at it. There's a Juneteenth flag, which is red, white, and blue. There's also a Pan-African flag, which is red, green, and black, which represents blood, soil, and prosperity. A lot of what you see on Juneteenth, as far as what I've been seeing, also incorporates yellow. As far as that goes, I didn't quite get a whole good answer as to why there's yellow. I did see that there's quite a few African countries that have the red, green, and yellow in the flag. So we are going to incorporate the yellow because I do see that with a lot of the Juneteenth things that I've been seeing. So if you don't know what Juneteenth is, I encourage you to do a little bit of research. I'm certainly no expert, but it's basically to celebrate the emancipation of African-American slaves. It happened in 1865, was kind of the first year that it was, do you want to call it celebrated? It's basically June 19th, 1865 marked the very first Juneteenth in Galveston, Texas. It was after 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, but as far as all the slaves being freed, it didn't really technically happen till Juneteenth, and that's a little bit of the story. I don't want to speak too much more because I'm not an expert. If anyone has anything they'd like to chime in about Juneteenth, let me know. Put it in the comments, appropriate stuff only, of course. Hello to everyone who is saying hi. So we're working on a small Unique in the Creek board. We are going to be using rows 2, 3, and 4. I have my board preloaded. I have zip ties in all of the paired holes in row 2, all of the pairs of holes in row 3, and all of the pairs of holes and shared holes in row 4. So if you take a look at the back, that is what it looks like. Okay, so zip ties in all of my pairs on row 2, the pairs on row 3, and then the pairs and the shared holes in row 4. So it's going to be a total of 8 petals on row 2, 8 on row 3, 8 on row 4. So that's 24. Okay, so I have that preloaded. What we're going to do is we are going to use the full Rita petal. So I'll show you how to fold this. This is the petal you use if you want to do a pinwheel style wreath. So with that, if you wanted to take this petal and make the pinwheel style, which really the only difference is that all of your petals sort of face the same way. Here we have them, they're kind of going in opposite directions. You actually just cut this petal and then you would turn one of them around and you can make your kind of pinwheel look. But we're going to just do the full Rita petal. If you cut them, it's technically like a half Rita petal. Okay. and all of that. I get those names and things like that from Unique in the Creek. So they have a lot of great tutorials on YouTube, and I'm using their board. So we're gonna do green, yellow, and then red on the inside. So that's what we're gonna do. So I have some petals pre-made to keep this moving along, but I'll go ahead and show you how I fold these. Let me grab, I just saved 2 of each color to do with you. So I have 10 by 10 poly burlap. I did cut it with a wood burning tool, okay? And I'm gonna use clips. The reason I'm going to use clips, and I do use clips on quite a few of my petals, but especially on this one, I want these points to be nice and even. So we do fold this very similar to how we fold a, like pretty much any petal. We start off the same way where we fold it into a triangle. But you'll see when we get going here, you only want to line up, you want to line up these edges as opposed to the top of your triangle. So let's just go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Okay, so you take your 10 by 10 poly burlap. Okay, here are my cut edges. Here are my factory edges. I'm just going to turn it into a diamond shape. So you start, same way we start many of our petals, as we fold it into a triangle. Now, normally we want this tip up here, the point of our triangle, to be lined up, but for this petal, we want our the points, again, the top here, to be lined up evenly. So that's where I'm going to put my 2 clips. So even if it's not totally lined up at the top, I want the sides here to be lined up. So I'm putting my clips there, okay? And then I'm just kind of flattening it. So you see how it doesn't, maybe you can't tell, but it doesn't quite line up exactly. And that's probably because it's not, you know, it might be a hair off from being exactly 10 by 10, but that's okay. We want these ends here to be nice and even when we fold our petals. So all we do is kind of an, you know, imaginary line down the center here, and you just gather just like this. So you just pinch that up, okay? And then you bring your 2 ends together, or your 2 sides together like this. And what I like to do is make sure that my tops here are even. You need to take your clips off so you can tell for sure. You can do that at that point. Okay, but you want those to be even, and that's going to be where you pinch. Okay, so you just pinch that little nub there, and that goes into the zip tie. Okay, just about a fingertip width, just like that. Okay, let's do the same thing here. So again, cut edges, factory edges, turn it into a diamond shape. You fold your triangle, but don't worry too much about lining up the top, because what you want to do is line up those sides. Just like this. Okay, and then just sort of flatten that. Okay, and then kind of an imaginary line. That's where you want to grab it here at the bottom and just start gathering up towards the top. Okay, bring your 2 ends, bring your 2 ends together. Okay, and then let's see. So I'm a hair off, I feel like, with this not being exactly lined up. So I just want to adjust a little where I pinched it. Okay, that's better. And then that is what goes into my zip tie. Just like this. Okay. All right. Okay, so I do have a couple more petals to make, but I have all the rest of the green done already, so I'm going to go ahead and just load those in. I do pre-make my petals, and I hold them together with a little rubber band. You can find them in, like, wherever you find hair supplies. I usually get mine from just Dollar Tree, and they're just small little hair bands. I'm still working my way through my pack of black bands. Eventually I want to just transition to clear ones. They don't really show anyways, because they're going right where the zip tie is going. But, you know, just, I guess, just in case for some reason you saw those bands, I want to eventually get transitioned to the clear ones. But whatever is available will work. And you can also use clips or whatever you wanted. Okay. So now I'm going to take, this is my zip tie gun. What it does is it tightens the zip tie and clips it at once. So sometimes you do have to pull the trigger more than once, because the first time what it's going to do is tighten, and then the second time it'll clip. Although if it's already tight enough, it'll just clip it on the first try. Hi Pam, we are doing the Rita petal today. The full Rita petal. There is a half Rita petal, which is where you take this exact petal and you cut it in half, and you can do sort of a pinwheel style wreath with it. A lot of times you see those with alternating colors where you have like kind of one of each color. Depending on how many you're alternating between, and you kind of just alternate them all the way around. It's pretty, it's a lot of work for sure. Okay, so the zip tie gun and any of the other supplies besides, I mean, basically zip tie gun, things like my scissors, hot glue gun, all that good stuff, you can find any of those things in my Amazon affiliate shop. So if you go to the pinned post on my Facebook page, there is a link. I should probably memorize what it is, but I haven't. It's something like amazon.com/shop/Carrie's Wreath Creations. It's something like that. I'm not sure if that's exactly it. But that'll take you to my affiliate shop. I do get a very small commission from sales if you use that link and buy anything that's in there. But things like my zip tie gun, the zip ties I use, scissors, clippers, hot glue gun, all that good stuff is in there. Okay. So again, if you're just joining, whoops, I'm stuck on my hairband. Okay, so I have we're going to do yellow next. So this was emerald green poly burlap, 10 by 10. Okay, this is 10 by 10 yellow poly burlap. And I have my cut edges, my factory edges. I did cut with the wood burning tool. I'm going to take this and turn it into a diamond shape and then fold it into a triangle. Because of this style petal, we are going to be clipping the ends of our triangle as opposed to the top, because we don't really care that the top is lined up. We want these little ends to be lined up when we fold our petal. Okay, so you just sort of flatten that wherever it naturally goes. This one's pretty well lined up. And then just wherever the center is, you start scrunching up towards the top. Yep, the zip tie gun is kind of amazing. I was not turned on to it until very recently. But now that I have it, I don't really know how I lived without it. Okay. So then I'm just kind of taking my ends and making sure that they are kind of hitting at the same spot before I really do a good pinch right here. Just like this. And then this goes into, we're now on row 3 on our small board. And you just put about a fingertip in there. Fingertip width, pull that tight. I do all my clipping on my zip ties at the end. Okay. All right, so one more time with that. Poly burlap, 10 by 10. Turn it into a diamond shape. I'm gonna go ahead and just clip my ends here. Just like this, so I get that nice even point on my petal. And just flatten out my triangle here. One piece wants to go into the other. There we go. Okay. Flatten that out. Okay. And then again, just scrunch right up the middle towards that point. Just like this. Okay. Bring one end up to meet the other. Kind of do a little check to see if your points are even. Take your clips off if you need to check that. And then just, give that a good pinch. Okay. And into the zip tie. Okay. The clips are just from Dollar Tree, actually. They're called craft clamps, which sounds very fancy for just like little mini clothespin type things. You could use clothespins. You could use chip clips. Doesn't need to be anything, official for crafting. It's really just any kind of clip you can find that's gonna help you make a nice neat petal. And if you're really good, you don't need them at all. I actually feel like when I started wreath making, I never used the clips, and then I got really picky about my petals being perfect, and now I use the clips a lot more than I used to. So if you're just joining, we are doing a wreath with the Rita petal on a small Unique in the Creek board. And we are using Juneteenth inspired colors. So did a little research before I got on, and So I do see the green, red, yellow, and black being used for lots of Juneteenth decor, I guess we want to call it. I'm just adjusting my petals to make sure they're slightly overlapping a little bit. I just want to make sure they're all overlapping the same way. I just had to adjust that last petal because I kind of went in a little bit different direction than I think when I put the second one in, and then it went to the third one, I started going a different direction. Okay, so yeah, so Juneteenth, the Juneteenth colors, I'm generally seeing the green, yellow, red, and black. I'm not exactly sure how the red, how the yellow plays in, but from the research I did, the red, green, and black is the, I believe they called it the Pan-African flag or colors that represents blood, soil, and prosperity. So we're using the yellow though too because it adds a nice pop of color, and there are some African countries that have these three colors in their flag. And a lot of that Juneteenth, as I said, the Juneteenth things that I've been seeing, wreath signs and decorations and things like that have included the yellow. So, okay, so if you're just joining, you got two last chances to see the petal being made here. I'm doing red on row 4. So I have, again, my 10 by 10 poly burlap that has been cut with the wood burning tool. Turn it into a diamond shape, fold it into a triangle. For this particular petal, I'm a little off to the side, sorry. I am clipping the ends of my triangle as opposed to the top. And that's because I want the points of my petal to be nice and even. Okay. I don't really want to move this off the table. I know I'm like running out of room a little bit. There we go. Okay. So then just kind of flatten this out a little bit. Find the middle down here, and that's where you're starting to scrunch. Just like this. Bring your two ends together here. Make sure your points are even. So in other words, that you're gripping right here exactly in the middle. That looks pretty good. So then just pinch that and put that right into the board. So on row 4 here, we are using the pairs of holes and the shared holes. So that's a total of 8. Okay. One last petal. Okay, so again, 10 by 10, turn it into a diamond, fold it into a triangle. Okay, clip your ends here. You don't have to, but I feel like with this petal, I really want those ends to be nice and even, and I can really achieve that best with the clipping. Okay, and then flatten out your triangle. Sorry, I know this side's a little hidden. Trying to keep everything in camera and not move my wreath. Okay, so then just pinch up the middle here. Okay, bring your two ends together, just like this. And once that's nice and even, you're gonna give that a pinch and then put that about a fingertip width into your zip tie. So I did just use this exact style wreath. I actually didn't even get a picture of it, which I realized was kind of dumb on my part because I can make it again. But I just did one last week. So I did a craft fair on Saturday. And I was kind of just cranking stuff out as fast as I can because I wanted to have some variety. And so close to where I live here I live in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. So there is a lake near us. And so I wanted to have something nautical themed for people that have lake houses. Last year I did this exact same event and I had a nautical themed wreath and it sold right away. So I didn't have anything. So I wanted to put something together real quick. So I did this exact style wreath and I used navy blue, turquoise, and I believe it was called natural poly burlap. Kind of looked like a sand color. And then I had a nautical rope, like an off-white nautical rope that I found at Dollar Tree last summer and used that for the center. And so that one sold right away. So I'm gonna probably make another one. What I should have done was taken a picture of that one and then I could have put it on my Etsy and then I could have made it to order, but I was a little frazzled last week. There was a lot going on I was out of town the previous weekend, and then I was trying to get everything in order. I had some wreaths I wanted to take multiples because I knew they would sell, and so I just had a lot going on. So I missed taking some pictures of well, that one especially, but there was actually a few others I didn't take pictures of either until unfortunately they didn't sell. So I took pictures of them on Sunday or Monday, whatever day it was. Okay. All right. So then finally we are going to add our center. So as I mentioned before, this center is already completed, and this is, I don't know where the spool went. Hold on one second. This is what I used. It's from Hobby Lobby. It's called the Robert Stanley collection. It's in the ribbon section, and it looks like this. I think I've used this twice, and I have about 6 feet left over, a little less than 6 feet left over. It's a total of 15 feet. So I don't think you can get 3 full centers out of this, but I definitely got 2, and I have a decent amount left. So it might be enough for 3, but I think it might be a little short, but that's what I used. I used half of a styrofoam ball that I cut in half. It's just under 4 inches. I believe it's like 3.8 inches diameter, and they come in a 2-pack. You get them at Hobby Lobby. So all I did was cut it in half. If you want to see how this is made, there's a YouTube video. There's a tutorial on my YouTube that shows how I did this. I will tell you that if you are new to making centers like this, black is not a good one to start with, and that would be because every little bit of hot glue that seeps through, it doesn't dry clear, so it shows. So you want to be really careful, or you want to like go in and I've seen people like heat things up with like a hair dryer and pick off little pieces of glue. I think I did a pretty good job. There's some threads and loose things on here because my mat was kind of dirty not dirty, but it just had like little threads and little tiny pieces of styrofoam from cutting the ball and all this stuff. So it's kind of all stuck on there. So what I'll probably do is use a lint roller on this, but let's just go ahead and finish. This is a small board, okay? So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna go through an opposite set of holes here on the back, and I glued my pipe cleaner on to make this nice and simple. So just any 2 opposite holes here. Pull that through. And this is a good, this ball is a good size, okay? It's like just under 4 inches, and it's good on the small board. It covers all of your zip ties and all that stuff. So I'm gonna give that a good couple of twists. What you can do, with these ends, you can clip them. What I usually do is I feed them under my zip ties here, or my zip ties, and just kind of like weave them through and just tighten them a little bit. Make it as flat as possible. You could also put a piece of like packing tape or something over this if you really wanted. I don't do that, but you could. Just anything to make sure you just want to make sure your pipe cleaner isn't gonna stick out too much, and that little tiny wire end is not gonna like scratch anything. So just kind of like do this. There we go. It's nice and flat. Okay. So there's my final product here. The only thing I would need to still do would be to go to the back here, use my hanging holes, and put a hanger. I usually use fish line. You could use a pipe cleaner, zip tie, piece of twine, anything that you would want to in order to create your hanger. The petal is called the Rita petal, R-I-T-A. So here's our completed project, our Juneteenth inspired wreath. So we have emerald green, yellow, red, and the black corded center. Okay, so this will go, it's actually already available in my shop. I don't have a picture, obviously, because I just finished it, but there is a listing in my Etsy shop that says wreath made on Facebook Live, May 3rd. So if you're interested in purchasing, this is already available. I'll get some pictures in good light tomorrow. I have enough to make more than one. And so, yeah, thanks for joining me today. It was a quick little project. This petal does go pretty quickly once you get the hang of it, and we did a total of 24 pieces, so nothing too crazy with this one. I do not cover the back. This is recycled plastic from Unique in the Creek. It's not going to rust or do any kind of wear or tear or anything like that. The zip ties, they're all very, close in here. This is very, yes, there's some work, but it's smooth. Compared to what you would see on like a wire frame, you don't have a whole lot of things sticking out. So no, I don't cover this with anything. Okay. So thank you again for joining me, everybody. If you're interested in the boards or poly burlap, any of the other materials that I use, obviously the corded rope came from Hobby Lobby, so that's where you get that. Looks like this. But the poly burlap and the boards, if you'd like to use my Unique in the Creek affiliate link, you can find that in the pinned post on my Facebook page. I do get a small commission if you do use that link. And any of the other tools such as the zip tie gun, zip ties, hot glue gun, scissors, cutting mat, etc., etc. All of that is available through my Amazon affiliate shop, which is also linked in the pinned post. Thanks for watching me today, everybody. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.